Let's welcome our hosts, Jay Cherish and Dame Deity. This is Millennial Intent, conversations that matter.
Who brings what to the table? Today's conversation, we're going to be going in depth about what your partner brings to the table. This question has been buzzing around social media. What does exactly a woman brings to the table? What unique attributes or qualities or skills that a woman possesses to make her more desirable for her partner? It has become a challenge for people aiming to become married to find a partner. But today's men, seeing that themselves as the prize, have been prompting these questions to women and their self-worth, meaning they're asking, what worth do you have or what material attributes do you have to bring to a relationship? We're going to go and examine this conversation a little bit deeper and further to understand who brings what to the table.
All right, let's go.
So I feel like people that ask this question, it's the difference between brokies and masculine men, because only really brokies ask that question. And if you ask this question and you're not a brokie, please change your vocabulary and get a little deeper.
Not dig a little deeper, not Tiana.
Dig a little deeper.
I knew she was going to say it.
But I feel like when they ask this question, you as an adult should know how to take care of yourself. Your responsibility as an adult is to take care of your responsibilities. Have a car, have a house, have a job, maintain your bills. Okay. Most of the time, men, and contributing to women, let's go to all of them. Sometimes you can't afford your bills, so you need someone else to bring in the household because you want to spend your money on Pokemon.
Wait a minute. Okay, man.
Okay, or PS3 or whatever you want to play. You don't want to use your money. I don't know. I don't play games. I don't watch TV.
Let's go.
Oh, okay, PS5. I don't know. I don't play games or I have those little features, so I don't know. Okay, I'm a true adult. But I think that people ask this question when they're broke and they don't have the money and they're looking to split what they say 50-50.
So they want a roommate with a booty call.
Okay. Yes, they want roommates with benefits. That's what they're calling it. That's why who brings what to the table is generally a poor concept. I'm sorry to say. But if you're asking these questions, you do not have to protect and provide masculinity energy. You have the broke user, don't want to spend all your money because you can't barely take it yourself energy.
Yeah. I think the better question is, what do we want on the table?
What I say, what let's say, for example, if a man asks you that, I'm offended. I'm not answering.
I'm not answering that question
because I am the table.
I don't like that either. I just think it should be, what do we want together? Like, what do you need me to do? Like, do you want me to be a stay-at-home mom? Do you want me to, do the bills 50-50? And we know that the bills are not going to be, I feel like bill payment should be allocated how it needs to be allocated. Now, if you realize that you're doing 90% of the bills and there's no reason for you to be doing 97% of the bills, then that needs to be rediscussed, because there may be a moment where your husband loses his job, so you may have to support the household. There's no such thing as 50-50 in a relationship. If you get into a relationship with the mindset that it's going to be 50-50, you're never going to be happy, because that's just not how relationships work. Sometimes one party is going to have to take on more than the other. So my thing is, there should be not a unilateral thing. It should be a cohesive how we want things to go. Like, what do we want on our table?
Exactly. And that's so well said, so eloquent. I couldn't said it better myself. But I think you're right. There needs to be a common ground when you're getting in a relationship. And a lot of time people don't have these conversations with their partner before they get into these long-term relationships or marriage. That's a conversation you need to have at the beginning. What does your partner want? Where do they see themselves? Where are they going? What do they want out of this life? And I think that once you understand each person's desire, then you can come up with a game plan. Like, maybe it's cheaper for us. We both want to have a family, for one? Do we just both want to be partners, or do we want a house? Do we want a car? Do we want to live in town? Do you need to have these conversations? And then that question of what you bring to the table is not really in question, because I feel like that's not necessarily what you need to see. You and a lot of people are like, oh well, I want a woman that cooks and cleans. Okay, is that the person you pick? Does she want that? Is she looking at herself as
And my
a
question
domestic?
is, if she cooks and cleans, is she also working? Because if I have to cook and clean and work and come home and deal with you, I can do that by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because yes, I have to cook and clean even as a single person, but I could do it a lot less with you not in
there. Yes, because whatever I left at the home when I left the house, it's still the same.
Exactly. And I feel that, and I feel, and I'm not gonna just say that as a woman. I'm just saying that as a person in in general. I know plenty of guys who've gotten with women who don't cook and don't clean, and they have to go to work and come home. Why would you want somebody like that?
Yeah.
Or their cooking is sub minimal. You have 8 hours out of the day. Why? What are you not like? What are you doing?
Yeah. And I think I'm going to blame some of the partners on this one, because some people just want to get married, or they just want that lifestyle, or they just want somebody to take care of them, but they don't want the responsibility of taking care of the household. And that's a conversation, because if that person, that's an individual choice. Some people aren't good or don't want to cook and clean. That's not, they just want to live rent free.
Yeah.
And when you're picking your partner, these are the things that you need. Because sometimes women lie to just get in a relationship. They're cooking and cleaning at the beginning, but later on down the line.
And I feel like that's grounds for this is not what we agreed upon. We're getting this annulled.
Yeah, because people do lie.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
those are the conversations you need to have when you're in this relationships, or when you're getting into this thing. And I don't know, they say people change. No, that's the person they were. They just showed themselves later on in a relationship. You can't hide for very much. Your true character has to come out eventually. And I think that a lot of men feel that because there's more women in society than men, they have their pick to choose from, that they feel like, I'm not just going to pick anybody. But then they pick the worst.
Yeah, because they're looking at physical attributes. Like you got a woman with her hair done. She's wearing a 24-inch or 28-inch bust down that cost $1,000. But my question is, how do you think it got there? You're looking at her nails, and her nails cost $500, and her outfits. Obviously, she wants somebody that maintains her lifestyle, and she can afford it by herself. She's obviously going to go, okay, well, I want to be kept. I don't agree with that. But my thing is, why would you get with a woman that you clearly see is high maintenance, and then when you get with her, you expect her to be different, or it irritates you? But that's what you're attracted to. And I feel like that's what most men are attracted to. It's one thing to have a woman that looks nice, but if you see someone that likes the finer things in life and that's not your budget, homeboy, you need to date in your tax bracket and stop trying to be up there. Stop trying to date you, Alexis, in the Audi, and go get you a Honda girl, because you're doing too much and then you're mad about it. That's all I'm saying.
I think that that's a lot of insecurities in men that they don't want to chime in on, because a lot of men are insecure when you look at their woman that represents them. Because I see a lot of handsome men that may not, in my eyes, maybe the woman's not as attractive as I think that, to that, aesthetically pleasing to someone. But then you get these men that it's always the men that never had anything good. I didn't say it that way. And they want to show off, and they want to brag about their woman, and they want to do this. So they look at social media, the TV, movies, and they have this idea, okay, this is what I want my person. Maybe they're not that much attracted to, but that's how they feel that they deserve, because that's that gratification of being accepted, because this is a prize, this is what everything that's beautiful. But they're not really attracted to that person, because they know that idealistic woman that's saying, I want my bust down, I want a Maserati, I want this, I want my nails done every day, I want the bundles that cost $2,000. You know that you have to be a certain type of man. They're looking for a basketball player. They're looking for a man that's making not six figures. They want a multimillionaire that can fly them out every week. And they're just looking at that lifestyle from TV and they're thinking, oh, that's what kind of woman I want. But then they go, oh, well, she's so self-centered. Well, what do you thought? What did you
Imagine
think?
being wanting a basketball player, but you work for the post office.
Dating your tax bracket, people.
I'm
But if
just
you're a
so
woman, it doesn't matter
confused by
because I
that.
think rich men are men of high stature. They want someone that looks good and they want someone that they can just fly out and be with them and have a good time.
I think they're dumb.
But I think it's a difference between a stay-at-home mom, a wife that cooks and clean, and compared to a kept woman, like a woman of a
They're
different.
equally stupid, but go ahead.
Yeah, those are the women that have the nannies.
If I was a man, I'm not paying for that. Like I'm just not. I don't want a kept woman. A kept wife is one thing. A wife that's well taken care of. But a kept woman when there's no kids in the house is useless to me. I don't know what that is. Like that's a bum. That's a dusty woman to
I
me.
guess
I,
that's
I
that
wouldn't
arm
want
candy.
that.
Those are the trophy wives.
Yeah, but she needs to arm candy at work during the day.
But that's her job to be his trophy.
Well, then don't be surprised when she's acting like a brat and you don't like the fact that she has no substance because beauty fades. And so
Beauty
does those
fades.
20, eventually when the alopecia kicks in because of those 28-inch bust down and she's looking like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, you don't want to hear with them eyelashes on.
Oh my goodness. And I think that's this generation. We're so infatuated with
Don't say
someone
we.
looks. We are this, listen, because looks do fade. And I remember, and I'm just looking at people sometimes because I don't watch a lot of TV, but when I do, and I see someone that I saw when I was younger, and I'm like, oh my goodness, they're getting old. And it's
So
like,
stupid.
no, I'm just saying, I see that and I'm just like, oh my goodness, they were like, I don't want to say she doesn't look cute, but like Pamela Anderson, like, as I say her name right, remember back in the day when I was little, or when we were little and we saw her on Baywatch, oh my goodness, she was so cute. I'm not saying she's not cute now, it's just the fact that once you're beautiful and you're young, society uses you for your beauty, and then once it's over, and then say you have a nasty attitude and you're no longer have
Does she
those.
have a nasty attitude?
I don't know, I'm just making an example, I'm not saying
Oh,
her in
oh,
general,
oh,
I'm
oh,
just,
oh.
no, she was
Okay.
one of the person I saw that, oh my goodness, I can't believe she aged. Not saying that she's not pretty anymore,
But
I'm
the
just
thing is,
saying
she's older than she was, essentially.
yes.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
get
just
what you're
like
saying. Yeah.
she changed her looks, she's not, and it's just time has flown by and you think about, okay,
No, it's been like
looks.
30 years.
I know. Well, maybe because I was like five.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
30
not,
years
it's
of my life.
legit been like 30 years, but go
It
off.
has. It has. But when you get into a relationship and if someone's attracted you only by how you look, that relationship's not going to last anyways. Because once your looks fade, so do your value with that person.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to think about what the person wants. That's why back to that conversation.
Yeah.
What are our long term? Do you want a life partner or do you just want that person? Like, what are they attracted to you for? Are
I
they
feel the
attracted by
same
your
thing for
mind?
like the women who say, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I mean, you got to be doing something while you're there, not just
Exactly.
momming. There's only
No,
so much kidding that you can do through the day, and you got to have your own things
you have to
because
because
people change.
they change and men are very visual and they go by like and they're very attention driven like men are like kids, like you have to pay attention to them, you have to feed into their ego, you have to motivate them, you
I
have to
disagree.
validate.
I
I feel
think
like men, a
everyone's
lot of
like
men,
that.
yeah, but you have to validate them. But if you lose, I see a lot of people lose themselves in their relationships and their marriage and they become not the person they married and not thinking that this relationship and this person will evolve into someone else, but you lose so much of yourself by being in a relationship, the person lost interest.
But everything you're saying about like validation and stuff like that, I think that's things that normal people crave. Not me. I don't like people. And I'm not a person that I think because I'm like I was chronically single for a very long time. I don't have those same notions that people do. But I think those are normal things that people crave. They want to feel like they're loved. They want to feel like they're appreciated. I mean, I feel like 80% of men work really, really hard. And when you're providing for homes and when you're providing for your partner, you want that validation and that love for them. They're gone 90% of the time. I feel so bad for guys because they're usually on like really hard jobs and stuff like that. I feel like that's normal. I don't know. Maybe I
But
just,
and that's back to picking your partner because if she wasn't that nurturing and kind to begin with, she's not going to be that way later on in life. I'm just saying you want that aspect for someone. You have to
I'm
look at the
agree to
person.
disagree on that because I'm not necessarily nurturing, but you have to understand everybody doesn't have a good background.
Hmm.
Some people need other people to bring that out of them. But I do agree in picking your partner.
I think you pick the right partner because this is just my perception of what I believe when I'm thinking about picking a partner. I'm the kind of person, maybe it's my downfall, but I won't say I'm a people pleaser, but I've been delivered a little bit. But
Mm.
I like to listen and find out what that person wants or likes or that's how what makes me happy. Like I want them to be happy, but I feel like I've lost myself in a way that person, if that person doesn't put that same like what do I want to be happy, what do I feel like, and it's just like it's always one-sided. I don't feel valued
Hmm.
because I'm into someone else's happiness, meaning you can't make that other person happy. But my happiness lies in making sure that we're all on the same page,
Yeah,
that
but I
our
think
goal is
that's
the same goal.
yeah, I agree. I mean, everybody should be doing that in a relationship.
And that goes in effect of like, what do you think about gender roles? Like, what do
Mm.
men want? What roles? And I guess this gender topic is kind of sensitive to some people because
Hmm.
there is no gender. But I mean, in your relationship, what do you want your partner to play a role in?
Well, there's definitely gender, but that has nothing to do with cleaning up your freaking bathroom. Like, come on. I'm not going to ask you to do that. We're grown adults. I'm going to do it and you're going to do it.
But do you want somebody to pick up behind you? And that's another thing. Some people want a parent. They want somebody to pick up behind them. They want uh, a slave. They want
Oh, yeah.
somebody to pick it clean and, top them off at the same time. Like, hey,
I think you'll know because I mean, if you're dating somebody and you see how clean they are, you generally have an idea of how they're going to be in a relationship. If somebody is, I'm pretty sure there's always an exception to the rule, but I can't live with no man who's not clean because I could be a little OCD and I don't want to be flipping out on nobody. So clean your behind, sir.
exactly. But these are the roles I think that in relationship that people don't talk about. And especially when they're saying men in their masculinity, they want a sensitive woman. They want a woman to bring their peace. They want peace at home.
I agree with that. I
I
want peace at
agree
home
too.
too.
I do too. But I heard a man say that, or my ex saying like, okay, I want you bring peace, but are you bringing peace too? Sometimes I don't want my peace disturbed either.
I think the biggest one I see is what I notice is the people who get mad at their partners like for gaming or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're so stupid, you play video games. I find it irritating that just because you don't understand it, you're so nasty towards it. Well, why does he have to play the game all day? I don't think people realize how like relaxing gaming really is. It literally takes your mind out of present day and kind of transports you somewhere else. Like for 20 minutes or 30, 45. I mean, if you're a gamer, you're playing for a couple of hours. So whether you're playing like Call of Duty or you're playing like Skyrim, you're the Dragonborn for 4 hours and you're, throwing shouting people off of rooftops and you're like mentally transporting yourself to somewhere else. I don't understand why people get upset. Like it's the same thing when you're reading those spicy novels. Why is it okay for you to read a spicy novel, but you find it, less, I don't know, um, you find it less wow because it's not reading, but their brain is just as equally stimulated. You know what I mean? Like I watched so many videos where the girls will like pretend to delete the guy's stuff or delete the guy's stuff or put their stuff in water or get mad because they're on the game, but you're sitting there on your vanity for 5 hours a day doing your makeup. It's relaxing to you as it is to them. And as I speak at the end of a serious gamer, if I had a partner that doesn't understand that I like to play sometime, or if I'm playing, please do not disturb me. Like I'm a woman, so multitasking is something I've always been good at. I'm also a woman with children, so I can have a conversation with you and continue doing on what I've been told by women I've talked to. Oh, I can't believe you can talk to me and play a video game. Well, I'm not deaf. I can hear you. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to also make you feel like I don't, I acknowledge your presence. And I think some men can work on that too. Just acknowledge your spouse's presence. Like, but I can understand the concentration. Sometimes you just want to zone out and you want to play. I just never understood why women get so upset when guys are a lot simpler and their brains are off and on differently. Women have 1,000 thoughts a day, 1,020 things, and their brain is able to compartmentalize a little bit differently. Just let them zone out and chill out. I don't know, maybe because I'm just like in between. I think like the woman, but I also like play like a guy. I don't know. It weirds me out a little bit how weird people get about stuff like that. Like let them be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, see, I'm not a gamer and I don't play games, so I'm gonna speak for the women that don't play games so I can get this. Maybe, I don't know. But I think that it's the issue with some of the men that don't work and that maybe they only play games all day and maybe they don't have any ambition to do anything else.
No,
I'm
those
just
are
thinking.
bums. Those are bums.
But I can see if your man has come home and he wants to decompress and get on a game for a few minutes and if what if the woman's been home all day and she wants
A
that
few
attention?
minutes. That's cute.
I'm just saying, I don't know. They want to decompress for a couple hours. I don't know. But then the woman's like, well, dang, you already been gone all day. I need this attention. And they're becoming, that attention needing person. And again, you have to know your partner. But my thing is, like, I don't play games, but my child might want to play a game, and I get on it just because that makes them happy. I just do it too. I'm like, hey, let me look. But then I find myself other things. I have plenty of
Yeah.
hobbies. And the thing about it, you got to find a hobby that works for you and your partner has a hobby and then something you do together. I think there's limitations to everything. Sometimes they do it in excess. Like you get on the game and then maybe there's responsibilities in the household that you guys agreed upon, but you can't take the trash out because you're on the game all day. Like
I agree
I
with
just
that.
feel like
Yeah,
you do
that's
your thing.
different.
I feel like you need your time to decompress, get in your room and have your quiet time, couple hours, whatever you need. Okay. Now let's get down to what the family needs. I think that everybody needs their individual time to be themselves, and that's their characteristic or their personality. However, if you're just an attention seeking woman and all you want is all the time on you, everything on you, you're not thinking about your partner. You're not thinking, okay, maybe this person had a stressful day. Maybe this is what they need to relax and get
But
their
nine at a
mind.
time, what gets me is that they want their partner's attention, but they're sitting there on their phone.
Yeah, so that defeats the
I
purpose.
don't
Like,
understand that. You just don't want them to have their focus on anything else but you. And that's weird to
and
me.
that's selfish. Then that's that individual's person, and that's not good.
And I see that that's like 80% of girls. I'm just like, ew. You
Yeah,
don't
I
want to
don't
be on
understand those
Instagram all the time.
signs.
Like,
Okay, you
come
got your
on.
phone. That's your pastime. Let him have his pastime. And I believe that everybody has their own little thing to keep them sane. Let them do it. If it's not
Yeah.
hurting or harming anybody, let
I play
them.
games like crazy, so I don't know what my person's gonna do. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, maybe you'll have another gamer.
Yeah, I haven't played in the last 2 days because sometimes I do stop. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I do have times where I can take a break for like 3 to 6 months and do something else. But then when I play, I play. You know what I mean? And yes, I'll get up and do other things, but like I don't know what to I read, I do other stuff, but sometimes like when I'm in game mode and I find things interesting, that's just how I am. I mean, I am. I don't know what to do. Like, oh well, I don't want you to do that. Sir, I don't know, day, babe. I don't know. Day, babe. In advance, I don't know what to tell you.
Exactly. See, I'm all business. Most of the time, I'm a serious person. I mean, I like to have fun. I like to go, but I'm just mainly always thinking about, okay, how can I do this better? Or what can I do to make more money? Or let me learn a skill. Or let's look at it. Like, I'm that kind of person. I'm not really thinking, like, I don't have time for social activities. And sometimes I don't have time to watch TV or go to the gym or do stuff. And I have to plan and time block certain things. So like, okay, I need to do this with my life. I need to do that. So I'm just thinking as a game, it's a luxury. But hey, maybe
But I
that's
don't
like
think some
you.
people understand that for some people, gaming is their life. And for
Yeah.
some of us, that's our way to think.
And that's,
For me, that's a tool that's used to think about my life and stuff like that. I'm playing a game, but I'm thinking about 1,000 different things at the
but
same
most
time I
men can't
play.
think that way. They're only thinking about shooting and Call of Duty at that very moment.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like some people do. That time where they're able to shut their brain off is the time where I think when it's easy for women to be biased because our brains don't shut off the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think them men being able to reboot is important from them to be able to function in other ways. And for me, my rebooting is just bringing it down to a single thought process. So while I'm playing my games, it's I hate to use the word games because I think people get caught up with that word. But for some people, it's literally like if I change the word game and said an anxiety activity, you would think it's more fulfilling just because I changed the word. Like you said, oh, I'd rather get a useful skill, but to me, those skills are useful because it allows me to, be able to focus. I can play a video game, take a test, and learn something on YouTube at the same time. Those skills to me are skill based. You know what I'm saying? They allow me to do other things. They allow me to multitask, and it allows me to calm my anxiety down and be able to do other things. So I think what it is people have to stop because they don't understand that particular type because, oh, it's just a game. It's not just a game for some people. It's relaxation, it's anxiety, it's able to take out their frustration. Just because you don't understand it does not mean that it's not as essential for their mental health as playing with your makeup or you writing a business plan. For some people, that's their piece to be able to write a business plan. You see what I'm saying? It's that
Yeah.
breakdown in their brain. Just because you don't get the thought process, like for you, the thought process may be getting a planner and writing all those things down. But for some of us, while we're playing, we are writing it down. It's just in our head. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think whatever
Yeah.
you do to decompress or essential in your life, do it. As
Mm-hmm.
long as it's not hurting anybody. That's what people
Yeah.
say. As long as it's not hurting anybody.
Well,
But
no,
there's,
as long as it's not stopping you from neglecting your home duties. If
yeah,
you have
your
children and all
goals.
that stuff, I mean, I just asked my kids to make me chicken nuggets while I
Are
play, but
just
go
saying,
ahead.
like, you're not neglecting your infant baby because you're
Yeah,
playing Call of Duty. Like, I feel like there's a balance to everything. I know people like, there's no such thing as balance when you're parenting. There is no balance when that baby wakes up. No, it's called training and, and
it
discipline.
definitely is. It
And I
definitely
think that
is.
I
That's a
heard
different topic, but
I,
go
I
off.
know that's a different topic, but I think that especially when you have the household and say your partner works outside and your job is in the house, or you have a job, because I've known both of these struggles. And being the head of the household, if you're the woman or the man or whatever, it sometimes you do need some type of peace to come home and unwind appropriately. That
Mm-hmm.
you got the
Yeah,
stress of the world, and then you have to come in and just imagine you're already the stress of everything, and you come home and your home is chaotic. It's just chaos.
yeah.
It's like,
It's
what
even
have you
worse
been
at that
doing?
point.
What have you been doing all day, especially if you're a two person that you like, say you're like you're OCD and you like it together, and they say, like, I've been running around with the kids all day. It's lack of structure. And I
Yeah,
know I had this. I had to discipline myself. When I see that everything else in my house is chaotic, I have to restructure. I have to tune everything out, get myself together, put myself on a plan. That's just me. Because
yeah,
I can't be structured outside and then my house is chaotic. I feel like
correct.
my first priority in my house is to make sure it runs smoothly.
And these are the things that should be discussed before these things have to be on the table.
These are the discussions.
You have to tell your girlfriend, listen, I like playing video games. I might play for 8 hours if James came out, but don't worry, we can always do something. You know what I'm saying? We can do something before you can take our time. And then when we're done, I'm going to go play my game, and I don't want to be bothered. You're welcome to come in, but I am not going to attend to you at this time. So you're going to have to block that time out of
yeah.
And I know I said 8 hours. People like 8 hours. Most people don't sit there for that long, but sometimes people get super excited when something first comes out and they're trying to figure out the mechanics of it. I don't know. I don't sit for that long at a time, but I understand that there are people that do. That might be the only block that they have. But these are the conversations that have to be had because I'm going to use the Bible, even though I'm not religious. But what's that word the Bible says about getting unequally yoked? And they say it about unbelievers, but it's true. When we get into these relationships and we are talking about what we bring to the table in our relationships, it's so important that we have these discussions because this is how people get at odds. They're upset and now we're divorcing because, oh my God, she does her makeup too much or he plays too many video games. Like these are things that should have been discussed or she doesn't. But see, my question to you, I'm going to put this question to you is what happens when you talk about what you want on the table before you got married? And I was listening to this like Reddit where this couple had agreed that, they were going to have kids, but they were going to go basically 50-50, right, on the kids and the wife was going to work. And then somehow through it, she made the unilateral decision. I love that word. I don't know why. The unilateral decision that she was not going to go back to work.
Oh, so she broke the agreement.
Correct. And she says, I'm not going. I'm a mom. I deserve to stay home. I'm not doing that. And I know that there's plenty of relationships that happens where people talk about and discuss what they want on the table. And I feel like I'm going to say it where a lot of women break that and just, well, I'm not going to do that now. You're going to take care. And she's like, well, instead of, he's like, look, we can't afford it. You're going to have to go back to work and we have to take care of the kids. We discussed about this, and she's like, well, I'm a mom and you could just work more. So his time was less valuable than hers in her eyes. And everybody in the Reddit was like, oh, well, you're taking a mom away from her child. Like if the father was less important than the mother, like you're disconnecting them, you're sending her back to work. But my thing is she unilaterally made a decision to stay at home when that wasn't the assigned agreement. Like, what do you think about something like that?
But see, I think that was her priority to begin with. She already had that mindset before they started. She was obviously lying. And see, that's why I don't believe anything people say. I judge them by their fruits. Yeah. Because already, I was talking to a friend one time and we were talking about getting in relationships and they were talking about, oh, if I want to marry like a basketball player. And then I was just like, well, what do you do? Well, girl, I would just get pregnant and have the baby and not work. When you even with talking with people, it doesn't have to be direct scenarios. You have to be willing to listen because people tell you what they say.
They tell you who they are.
And those are things sometimes we're blinded when we're in relationship and we're infatuated with this person. We love them. We don't see it.
Yeah.
But she already had that attitude and she already knew like I got a good man, he's going to work and I'm going to make that my excuse. And I know a lot of women that go to school, especially back in undergrad, they go to school, they find their husband. And I know one girl, she became a doctor, her husband was a doctor, and then she had her baby and she didn't want to go back to work anymore. So you went to med school, did all of that, and then you became a whole doctor. You trapped your husband. I don't want to say trapped, but you got it. And now I'm like, why? You're probably over $100,000 in debt, and you decided, okay, I don't want to go into work anymore. But unless that's a decision with the both of you, then that's where that problem lies, and that's where there's going to be problem in the marriage. Yeah. And is the marriage going to be able to stand? Probably not, because now there's no compromise. There's no agreement because we had this idea. What I know, life changes, But if that other person, if what if they don't have the finances? Before the two income, you had $1 million house, and now that person has all the finance on him. You have to be willing to either downsize, reduce your lifestyle. If this is what you want, you don't want to go back to work. But if you want to maintain your lifestyle and want him to work to the bone, that's selfish. And now you're losing your husband because you're going to lose him to the nurse because now he's outside. And, men are venting. I remember I went to the hospital and all the nurses were listening to the doctor and he was like, let me tell you this joke. And let me tell you about, when men go and they're expressing their high value men, we'll listen to air quotes. And they're not happy in their relationship. Someone's listening and someone's like, you know what? I wouldn't have done that to you. You're a good man. And then you wonder why your relationship failed. Do you love that person? But do you love your husband enough to say, hey, I don't want to put all the burden, especially when we have this agreement? Are you going to be so selfish that it's only about you? So that's why I'm careful about when I'm talking to people. I no longer look from my lustful eyes. I look at them from their fruit, even in their conversation. And certain things, I like to put little conversations out there to see how they're going to act. Because that's like saying, I like to say, well, what if your partner gets in an accident? Would you stay? Making a joke like I'm talking about Kevin Hart. But that person, I leave them, or I'm a cheat, or I do. That's what person they are. Yep. Even though they act like you that they're not, that's their person. So even with women and family, those are the questions you might not have to ask them directly because people are going to lie, especially if your partner's a liar. But I mean, I don't know if that's grounds for divorce, but that's irreconcilable differences. Now you're stressed out. Now she ain't going to have no man. And she's going to have to go back to work. Now what are you going to
do? Good point. That was a good point.
I just think that men are easy most of the time. They tell you what they want, and then the ones aren't. They have egotistic, pride-driven behaviors, and those aren't the ones that are usually desired. We don't want those. Not define. No. You can let the bummy ones have those, but yeah.
No, you're right.
Don't look at a physical. Don't look at someone's physical attributes for everything.
Yeah. And that's why it's important to vet your partner and have the conversation about what you want before you get there.
And people change over time. People change and their goals change. Are we growing together? Are we going separate? And sometimes, everybody's, you grow up, maybe that's not what you want anymore. And that's okay. But now, do you something you can deal with to raise a family? Is this kind of roles we want to play for now as partners until, the kids are older, or this is just not going to work? We just can't do it at all. It is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's on them. I just think the conversations had directly and indirectly are important.
I agree 100%.
Because beauty fades. And don't ask women what they bring to the table. What can you bring to each other to help each other get to each other's goal? It's the main question. What do you want to be? Where do you see yourself? What do you want? And then you can think about in your mind, is that the person I want in my life that's going to, it is always thinking about who's going to better my life. No, you have to better your own life.
Absolutely.
It's not up to that other person to better you.
Yeah.
Have any closing thoughts?
Y'all, it's not about who brings what to the table. It's what do we want on our table.
Exactly. Well, that concludes today's conversation on Millennial Intent, Conversations That Matter. We'll see you next time. Bye.
To hear more from Millennial Intent, hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to tell a friend.